Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Mantras are refined sounds that affect our energetic system, our bodies, our physical bodies, our metaphysical bodies, our emotion. Mantras can affect our connection to nature, it can affect our connection to each other. The most inherent quality of mantras is that they strengthen our sense of peace.
Mantra literally means man, mind, tra, tool. A tool to investigate the mind.
So it goes down to the very ancient aspect of us and affects us in a very deep way.
It's really meant to clean and purify the user. It's so valuable for me. It's offered me a sense of peace like nothing else has.
There's something to sustain you in your life. That's what they are. There's something to heal wounds. There's something to inspire the spirit.
Mantra is participation in that which is great, that which is the power of the cosmos, that is arising as you and me, that which brought us here in the first place.
The simple act of singing mantras can help people to reconnect to their heart in a very short amount of time. It's a very effective tool for us to get in touch with a deeper part of ourselves beyond the stories of the mind.
Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiva bandhana mrityo mokshamamrita mrityo mokshamamrita.
So the use of mantra and repetitive words, I would classify that practice in the category of a meditative practice. So on the psychological level, the focus of attention on a word or a phrase is a target for meditation. And so as you focus on that target, and this can be in the case of a silent mantra or where you're repeating a mantra mentally to yourself, you use this as a focus of attention. And then as your attention wanders, you bring your attention back to the mantra. And that is essentially a form of what we call concentrative or single point focus or closed focus meditation practice. It's one of the most common practices within yoga. And so really that kind of mantra practice is a meditative practice. It's the focus of attention.
So the power of mantra is really in the ability to change up your mindset and your focus on things. Sometimes the power of the mantra is to shift you into a place of awareness of your thoughts and its thinking. The power of the mantra is also to direct your mind's thoughts to things that are fulfilling, to things that are productive for you in terms of like your life thriving in its fullness, and to help you to understand that much of the time our minds are full of mantras that are directing us to other experiences. So a really powerful mantra that people often practice is I can't. And that's a disempowering mantra. You know, when you say you can't, there's no way you ever will be able to.
But for me, what happens with mantra is really in the heart. It's really in the heart, and you can feel it, or I can feel it. It's the most amazing feeling. It involves the mind, but it's so much more than that. It involves everything. It involves your whole being, mind, body, spirit, heart, all of it. I'd had this connection to mantra for a while, but I was going through a very dark period in my life. I had been suffering from depression since I was a child. I had everything, but I felt really empty inside, and this emptiness just wouldn't stop. Feeling like nothing mattered, and I couldn't find my connection to anything, and spiritual books weren't helping me, and music wasn't helping me, food wasn't helping me, sex wasn't helping me, movies, they all stopped working. I was just finding less reason to be here. And one day, with nothing to lose and really nothing left to try, I started doing this japa mantra. And, you know, at first it did nothing, I'll tell you the truth. After maybe a day or two, I started to notice, if nothing else, that my mind was not as focused on some of these issues I thought I had that were giving me all this suffering. And then I would say after maybe a few weeks of reciting this every single day, like a machine, this little speck of light appeared in my heart. And it was just this feeling of a delight. And it was the first time I had felt delight in a really long time. And I, even with more fervor, started reciting this mantra to this place in my heart. As time went by, as days went by, as weeks went by, as months went by, this little space started to grow. And I could feel it growing within me. It was palpable. I could almost measure it. And it would grow and grow and grow and grow. And it grew, and it started growing bigger than my body. And then at some point, this feeling of joy and delight and home and belonging, everything that I was looking for, everything I had wanted that I couldn't find, was coming from inside of me, and it was growing, growing, growing. And then finally it grew beyond my body, and I felt it just reaching out. And well, as you can imagine, I've been quite a devotee and a practitioner to this mantra and to this practice ever since then. It's a part of my daily life.
course, many people do chanting out loud and mantra out loud, and there's actually practice in India called kirtan, in which people chant mantras out loud.
So kirtan, these words come from Sanskrit word called kirti. Kirti means to praise, to glorify the attributes of the divine, the qualities of the divine. So whatever we praise, we become that. So my experience of mantra has been very profound, and what happens in the actual performance or while doing kirtan, I get in touch with the divinity which is within and without. So let's say I'm tired or I'm not in a very good mood. What happens is, as I'm doing the kirtan, it actually brings about the feelings of joy, happiness, bliss, and it heals me as I'm doing the kirtan. Changes completely the different, the moods, the vibration of me and the listeners.
Namami Vigneshwara Pada Pankajam Ummasuta Shoka Vinashaka.
It works like medicine. When we chant mantra, we are actually healing not only ourselves but the atmosphere around us. It shifts something in the physical brain, bringing about the states of awakening. The second stage which happens is the flowering of the heart, when pure love, devotion comes forth. The third experience, what happens is self-realization. Who am I? And then the fourth is God realization. So it's a step-by-step journey with this mantra, with chanting, with kirtan.
Falacharu Mahabhaksharam Ganadi Sevatam Kapita Jambu Falacharu Mahabhaksharam Ummasuta Shoka Vinashakarakam Namami Vigneshwara Pada Pankajam Ummasuta Shoka Vinashakarakam.
The theory of yoga is that these mantras have specific value and specific virtue. The chanting a specific mantra has a specific benefit, a specific change in your psychological functioning and even in your spiritual state.
There are always all these points in a spiritual life where you run into obstructions, and the mantras also have the power to overcome those obstructions or to give you knowledge of those obstructions so that you can move through them.
So if you step towards a mantra, say, you know, I've got so many problems in my life, it doesn't seem as if my life is just flowing. There's a mantra for that, you know. There's a mantra for that, the Ganesh mantra. It will help you and it will remove these energetic blocks. But you have to, first you have to find it, you know, and then you have to commit to chanting it. See, mantras only work if you step towards them. If you don't, they'll just hang.
You know, you sit down to chant, it's not like you become immediately transported by chanting. Sometimes what you hear is all this chatter going on in your mind. But at some point, you begin to observe yourself doing this thing. And something shifts. Instead of being your mind and your thoughts, you become the one who's aware of your mind and aware of your thoughts. This was a really powerful shift in perspective, and that's what chanting shifted for me. Well, my favorite Sanskrit mantra would be Om Namah Shivaya. Somewhere wired into us, O means the same thing for everybody, no matter what language you speak. And means the same thing in every language. These other sounds in Om Namah Shivaya, like ah is a feeling of satisfaction, shh is a universal sound that brings people to quiet. It's also white noise. It's like every sound, but somehow it brings us to no sound. E is the sound of freedom. V is this vibration sound that feels exciting. So the mantra is a composite of all of these feeling states. Besides the sonic aspects of it, it's referring to Shiva, which is the force that breaks things down before they begin anew. So, like one chance to the end in order to get to a new beginning. And what I love about it is it says, you know, in effect, it's about letting go. It's not about getting something. It's about letting go of stuff. It's not about becoming something, or attaining something. It's about relinquishing something. Even the process of meditation isn't one of like, I will become this. It's a process of like sinking back into something that you inherently are. Another aspect of its sounds is that they're little infinities. Each one of the sounds of Om Namah Shivaya can be sustained, and it's meant to draw the attention of the chanter to your relationship to eternity itself. And that's awesome in itself too. It helps to like give me some perspective, because does it matter how I live? You know, does it matter whether I chant or not? You know, if I'm just going to end up dead, so what? But it brings me back to this thing that, well, if all I've got is this life, then my choice is how I'm going to live it. And I want to live it with a sense of wonder and mystery and imagination and compassion and expansion. That's my choice to make. That's possibly the only choice that I really have to make. So chanting that mantra helps me to continue to choose it.
You know, mantras are often chanted in group settings. So now you have a whole group consciousness that's happening, and that is reflected in a group voice. So there's a group sound. You're not only hearing your own voice, but you're hearing the voice of the entire group doing this chanting of the mantra. And so that generates another aspect, which may be more psychological in nature, where you're merging that sound. And that becomes a sort of a cyclic meditation process, where you're making the sound, you're hearing the sound come back, and it can be a very immersive experience.
Om Nowadays, we are so into connection. We love connection, and mostly it's connection that is very unsatisfying because it's verbally. So whenever we connect with somebody, we usually talk, and that's not nourishing in the long run. Of course, they are very nourishing, deep talks, but I feel it's so important in this day and age to connect with strangers, which is the most precious also when that happens with strangers, or with our friends on a non-verbal level where we all contribute to something that evaporates in the air, like music, like sound. It's just there in the moment. It's not going to be there 1 minute later, you know. It's just an in-the-moment affair, and that's extremely healing and special and nourishing, and very, very hard to find actually in this time. For me personally, mantras are the shortcut to meditation. When I chant, and then when the silence happens, it really happens. The thoughts are stilled, or I'm not attached, I'm not attracted to each thought. I don't need to follow each thought where it wants to go. I can feel my body charged with the sound vibration. I can actually physically feel the tingling in the body. Like the cells are charged with sound and energy. And then also that real strong sense of connection.
So the repetition of the mantra, it starts the process, you know. Imagine if we are chanting, if we are repeating mantras with devotion, which is very important, with love, not because one was told to do, because from within only there is a inner calling, a longing to unite with the divine. So mantra chanting, the repetition, is the ache in each and every heart to unite, to be one with the divine. That's how I see it.